The International Reporting Tour 2023 Leaders of Tomorrow by the U.S. State Department Foreign Press Center and Meridian International is connected to some of the resolutions made at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in December 2022. President Ruto of Kenya, speaking at the meeting on the future of Africa's trade and investment relations with the U.S., suggested that African countries must move away from aid dependence to active investment nations. The Special Presidential Representative for U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit implementation, Ambassador Johnny Carson, responding to journalists, agreed that the issues of trade and external aid are highly discussed by African leaders.
If indeed a country is to make substantial economic progress that benefits the entire society and is inclusive in its growth, it has to be based on the development of business and industry that generates employment for youth and adults, and which also provides tax revenues coming from both those businesses and individuals in order to grow society. Societies move forward on the basis of economic growth and not simply on the basis of aid. There is a strong commitment in the U.S. government to support business and commercial development between Africa and the U.S.
But to succeed, Africa needs the enabling environment to nurture its potential to enhance sustainable progress with no rigid conditions that deprive growth. So what has the U.S. done since President Biden announced the $55 billion commitment to Africa at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit last year? Let's hear from the Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for African Affairs at the National Security Council, Jude Devamont.
I'm happy to report that we have made tremendous progress in advancing our relations with the continent, our investments in the continent, our engagement. So one of the things that we're most proud of is that we have had a record number of senior travel to Africa since the summit. We've had 14 senior level, cabinet level official trips. So when Vice President Harris, for example, traveled to Lusaka, Zambia, she did a call to action with the private sector on digital inclusion. So essentially, what she has put into motion is a private sector / philanthropic arm to our digital transformation with Africa. So not only bringing $800 million that we've already committed in the digital transformation with Africa, but a commitment that she would bring private sector companies and philanthropic organizations to join us.
Even though it sounds ideal for Africa to achieve economic independence, foreign aid is still necessary and cannot be completely ruled out.
It's also important to have an aid component as well. Some things governments struggle to meet for their citizens, and some development assistance is required. It can be humanitarian assistance, it can be food aid, it can be in the form of healthcare deliverables. But everyone, I think, agrees there must be strong commercial, business, financial development for societies to move forward.
With the exchange of investment initiatives between the U.S. and Africa, African countries will be able to boost their economies, increase youth employment, and social life will be improved. Salifu Nakamara, AYV News in Washington, D.C.